Grand Rising, my people. Grand Rising, my people. This one right here for sure gonna be a really short video today compared to all the other days, because I got some work to do, and I'm really starting kind of late, so I gotta go ahead and jump straight into this right here. Okay. What I want to talk about for a few minutes is recognizing when you are feeling good, when you are in grief. And the reason why I say this right here is because in the beginning of this stuff right here, when it first happened, it's certain things that you just won't be able to do. Some people feel like they can't do, you know what I mean? And you don't know what those spots look like. So, like, for instance, for me, in the beginning, what it was just looking at pictures. I couldn't look at no pictures. And watching a video was definitely out the question. And trying to hear the sound of his voice through a video or something like that wasn't about to happen. Not at that time. I was too out of touch with what was going on. Everything had crashed at that point. So none of that stuff right there was working for me. Because I was in a very, very, very something. I was trying to still piece this stuff together, okay? Now, that's one of the things that you could use to recognize what type of space that you are in. Because if you don't recognize what type of space that you are in, you're going to stay in a grieving spot and not even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? And then, check this out. So, a good spot to start for me, I would say would be the pictures. If you could look at they pictures and feel good in that moment, when you look at them pictures right there, you in a good spot. That's where you want to be at. You want to be in a good spot, because it's going to be too easy to tear you down if you're grieving. It's going to be too easy to do that. So you got to find everything that make you feel good, you know what I'm saying, while you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. So if looking at pictures will get you there, fine. I'm going to tell you something else. Put that on. And then, so now you even in a better spot if you can watch a video. If you can watch a video of your child, and this right here, you know, is recent, you know, like if you able to watch a video, then you in a really good spot. I couldn't look at none of that. It took me a while to be able to look at a video of my child. You know what I'm saying? See, it's one thing to look at a picture, but to actually see your child moving around and, you know what I'm saying, full of life and everything, it's hard to look at in the beginning. In the beginning, it's kind of hard to look at. Eventually, you will get around to it. But if it's in the beginning and you can look at it, and hey, you in a good spot. You got to recognize that. Recognize these good spots that you're going to be in, because this right here is going to help you with your grief. You got to recognize some of these good spots. Nobody never told me that part. But that's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to recognize when you feel good. You're going to have to recognize when you feel your energy upshift. Yeah, because every little bit gonna count. Okay? Every little bit gonna count when you're doing this right here. So you're gonna have to keep yourself up, okay? If you are able to smile in any kind of way, a smile erases a frown. It's kind of hard to smile and frown at the same time. That right there, you are in a good spot. If you can do that right there. See, these little spots, these little things that you do that might be overlooked, even though they might seem very small, they very powerful at times like this right here. It's very powerful at times like this right here, because it was a long time for me, you know, in this 11-month process, which today marks 11 months exactly for me, since Junior been gone. But in this process, it took me a long time to be able to look at a video. Nah, we had pictures, because, you know, we was at a service. You had to put the obituary together, and yeah, we had pictures and stuff. And it was hard to look at those at times. But you know what? What wound up happening was, after so long of looking at them, we got adjusted to them. Is when you start looking at them other pictures and other videos that will really, pull at you. But if you are able to do that and you are able to stomach it, you are in a good spot. You in a good spot. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to drag this thing on, is what I'm saying. You don't want to drag on this grief thing. You don't want to do it because it's going to hurt you health-wise. It's going to hurt you. And you want to get up out of that as fast as you can. Some people, they like the pats on the back when it come down to the grief and all this other stuff. And I get it. Some people recover faster than others. I get it. But the thing of it is you do what you can to get up out of this stuff as fast as you can. Don't rush it, but do what you can to get here as fast as you can. You know what I'm saying? Because if not, you're gonna set yourself back. You're gonna miss out on a whole bunch of stuff. Stuff gonna start closing down on you. You know what I mean? It's like you're gonna lose a lot more staying in grief. I'm not playing. And the way I started to look at grief, the way I had to start looking at grief, to help me get out of it, was to look at that grief as a spiritual attack. That's what I had to do. I had to start looking at that grief as a spiritual attack. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why I call that a spiritual attack is because it brings your energy down and only you can feel it. You see what I'm saying? Can't nobody feel your energy go down like you can feel your energy go down. So that right there be a spiritual attack. If you could stay away from that right there, you in a good position. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's going to be tough in the beginning. In the beginning, it's going to be tough. It's going to take you, it might take you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning. The thing about it is when you recognize it and you recognize you're in a good spot, you milk it. You milk that good spot. Because when you in a down spot in the beginning, you can stay in that spot for days, hours at a time. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, for me, I cried for months. I didn't think I can cry that long. I really didn't. And then eventually one day I woke up like, wow, I ain't cry. And then, as time went on, you would get together. But like I said, just recognize when you are in a good spot. When you are in a good position, you milk that position and you try to stay there. If you ever get out of that position, then what you want to do is you want to, for one, look, let me say this right here. Don't be afraid to get your rest, because you're going to be very drained in this process, and physically you wouldn't have done anything. Physically, you wouldn't have done nothing. It's like your spirit, your soul or something just feel drained. You know what I'm saying? It may feel drained. If that's going to be the case, get your rest. Get your rest. Get your rest. Get your rest, because you're going to have plenty of nights that you're going to lose some sleep. You're going to have plenty of 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning days like that right there where you're going to be up. Can't go to sleep. You're going to be wide awoke too, Jack. And it's going to be quiet and it's going to be dark and you ain't going to have nothing to do but listen. And listen to whatever it is that voice is telling you. And see, the more you get better at this, the reason why I say recognize where you at your peaceful spot, because that right there, when you at your peaceful spot, that's when you're going to get your best answers. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be able to use your discernment down the line to know if this right here is your spirit talking to you, or your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, or if this right here is a spiritual attack. You see what I'm saying? Because both of them talk off the same realm now. Both of them talk off the same realm. And some of them things you're going to have to recognize the difference in between. And if you don't recognize the difference in between, all of them at some point in time can come off as attacks. Because if I couldn't use my discernment and figuring out which ones was attacks and which ones was discernment, you know what I'm saying, was my spirit talking to me, you know what I'm saying, for the betterment of me. If I didn't have the discernment in that to decide which was which, I would think that everything was an attack, and it's not. Everything is not necessarily an attack, because what I use to know if it was an attack or not, whatever it is that's speaking to me, it would typically tell me something that my subconscious would agree with. It would resonate with my subconscious, even if my ego did not agree with it. You see what I'm saying? So it was at that right there is how you swallow that hard pill. That's where the hard pill come in at, because your ego is saying one thing, your subconscious and your spirit is telling you something else. And if you follow your ego, you'll feel good, but it might not be right. But if you follow your subconscious, you might, more than likely, it ain't gonna feel good, but it's the right move. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to you to use that discernment. You about to get really, 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 really in touch with yourself. You about to get really in touch with yourself. And when you do that right there and you able to differ the two, grieving will be lighter. I'm not telling you this stuff is going to go away. I never tell you that it'll go away. But you can lighten the load on yourself. You know what I'm saying? By you helping yourself do some of the work. You're going to have to do some of the work. That's just the bottom line to it, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I wasn't going to make this right here a very long video. I got work to do, and I am going to get up out of here. Hey Uncle Ronnie is the YouTube. Ronnie84_ is at TikTok. Go over there, subscribe. I get with y'all later.